every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. In a major story, President Muhammadu Buhari names new helmsman for the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and the National Communications Commission. Also in this program, Senate confirms the appointments of service chiefs. FCT Election Petition Tribunal puts the elections of Philip Sadude and Stephania Gisalo. And outside Nigeria, anti-Houthi forces retake Yemen's largest army base after arms and equipment support from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Many thanks for joining us this night. President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed Emmanuel Ibe Kachukwu as the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Kachukwu, who was the Executive Vice Chairman and General Counsel of ExxonMobil Africa, is to take over from Joseph Doha. A president's statement described the new NNPC helmsman as a first-class graduate of law from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and the Nigerian Law School. He also has master's and doctorate degrees in law from the Harvard Law School and began his working career with the Nigerian American Merchant Bank before moving into Texaco Nigeria Limited and later in ExxonMobil. President Buhari has also approved the appointment of Umaru Dambata as the new Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive of the Nigerian Communications Commission. Dambata, who holds a doctorate degree in electronic engineering, takes over from Dr. Eugene Jua, whose tenure expired on July 29, 2015. Newly appointed Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Ibe Kachukwu, is reported for duty within hours of his appointment. He assumed duty at a brief handover ceremony at the NNPC House, Abuja. A statement issued by the NNPC coach team is expressing gratitude to his predecessor, Joseph Doha, for his hard work at the corporation. He also pledged to work hard to achieve the president's growth aspiration for the oil and gas industry. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the solid mineral development to put a stop to the activities of illegal miners in the country. He handed down the directive at the presidential villa, Abuja, after receiving briefings from the Ministry Permanent Secretary. The Permanent Secretary told State House correspondents that the president is keen on using the ministry to reduce unemployment in the country.
Well, it's very difficult for me to give you all the details because our presentation is quite large because of the sector we are operating under: mineral and steel development in Nigeria. We have almost touched on every issue, especially where the sector can be reactivated to provide a major source of employment, major source of capital inflow by the foreign investors, and proper management of the mining activities, especially the illegal miners. that are coming into mine and use crude processes in processing what they have mined, especially gold and lead zinc, which inevitably lead to poisoning of our local population. Unfortunately, quite a number of people died, especially in Zamfara and recently in Niger. We look at how best the steel sector will be revitalized, especially the steel sector and the issues around the reactivation of the Ajaokuta steel and the Nigerian mine or company.
President Muhammadu Buhari wants the Ministry of Environment to revert to a 1920 report in order to revive the Lake Chad Basin. He issued the directive after receiving briefings on the activities of the ministry from the Permanent Secretary. Fatima Mede at the presidential villa. Mede told State House correspondent that the president is concerned about the present condition of the lake as well as the indiscriminate felling of trees in some parts of the country.
Mr. President is also concerned about the fact that Lake Chad is stricken, has struck from the 23,000 square kilometers about 2 decades ago to just 300 square kilometers, which has affected the farmers, the fishermen, and the livelihoods of the people around that area. So he has directed that we should go and look. There was a report that was submitted 1920 about how to prevent Lake Chad from drying up, so that the communities around, even borders communities, including the countries, Cameroon and all of that, benefiting from the activities of fishermen and livelihoods, based on that Lake Chad, are not affected. So he has asked that we should bring up that report immediately. We should see how we can promote the use of LPG gas to reduce the rate at which trees are being cut down.
President Muhammadu Buhari is seeking the approval of the Senate for a $75 million loan from the World Bank for Edo State. This was contained in a letter from the president read by Senate President Bukola Saraki on the floor of the Senate on Tuesday. According to the letter, the credit facility is the second part of the $225 million development policy program.
Writing to seek the consideration of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and approval of a request by the Edo State government to obtain a $75 million credit facility from the World Bank. Your Excellency, you may wish to know that the World Bank had approved a development policy program, DPO loan, budget support for the total sum of $225 million to Edo State government in 2012. To be implemented in 3 tranches of $75 million per annum. The first tranche was approved by the National Assembly in the 2012-2014 Federal Government External Rolling Borrowing Plan. The DPO has since been successfully implemented by the state in 2014.
The Senate has confirmed the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Abayomi Olonishakin, and other service chiefs recently appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari. This was after a 3-hour closed-door screening of the military chiefs in the Senate chamber. The House of Representatives, for its part, gave the job to an ad hoc committee, which also sought for hours, but still has to submit a report on the outcome of the screening to the lawmakers. Basia reports.
The service chiefs was clearly the main activity of the day when Senate resumed plenary on Tuesday. Soon after he opened proceedings for the day, the Senate President called for a closed session. The service chiefs, led by the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Abayomi Olonishakin, were to be screened behind closed doors. 3 hours later, the doors were flung open. The confirmation hearing is complete, and the military leaders were unanimously confirmed. In a short address, Saraki congratulated the officers and urged them to redirect the cause of the armed forces for for positive results in the fight against insurgency and insecurity.
I congratulate them, and I hope that they will give their best to Nigerians who are expecting a lot from our armed forces and bring a new life and the end of the insurgents in the northeast, and so that, again, the people in the area can go back to live their normal life.
Senate spokesman Dino Melaye gave an insight into what happened during the confirmation hearing.
They requested for support and partnership from the National Assembly, specifically in terms of funding, so that the insurgency will be fought from all fronts. And another aspect to it is that they have told us that they are introducing cyber technology to the fight against Boko Haram.
The Senate also gave assurances on its readiness to perform its oversight role on the military with all seriousness before adjourning to Wednesday, August 5. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Deputy Senate President Ike Kwedemadu's second greater diplomatic and economic ties between Nigeria and the Republic of Korea. He made the call today when he received the ambassador of the Republic of Korea to Nigeria, Noyu Dog, in his office in Abuja. The Deputy President of the Senate commended Korea for its support towards the social-economic development of Nigeria, especially in the areas of education, information and communications technology, agriculture and manpower development through the Korea International Development Agency. He called for more Korean investments in Nigeria and assured his visitors that the lingering concerns of their business interests, such as double taxation and pending issues in the oil and gas sector. Earlier in his remarks, the Ambassador Noyu Dirk reaffirmed the need for greater economic and parliamentary cooperation between Nigeria and South Korea. He also pledged the continued support of the people and governments of South Korea towards Nigeria's development. The National Orientation Agency has hailed humanitarian organizations operating in the country for their show of support for Nigerians in distress. The Director General of NOA, Mike Omeri, expressed this appreciation when he received in audience the Rotary International District Governor, Mike Omotosho, in Abuja. The agency's spokesman, Paul Odeni, quotes Omeri in a statement as saying that intervention of humanitarian groups like Rotary had helped to complement Nigeria's national emergency response architecture. The NOA DG commended Rotary for its engagement in humanitarian activities of building schools, assisting governments in polio eradication, and sinking boreholes for disadvantaged Nigerians. He added that the core objectives of the NOA were reflected in Rotary International activities, which is essentially to promote the humanity of people in the world. But we'll be back on more stories after this break, but stay with us.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly. Talk to her husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Also, some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man, you don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I say to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has the right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
If you're just joining us, this is still CoreTV Primetime News and a quick reminder of a major story. President Muhammadu Buhari names new husband for the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and the National Communications Commission. Senate confirms the appointment of service chiefs. FCT Election Petition Tribunal puts the elections of Philip Sadude and Stephanie Gisalo. For more news and other programs, please visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. Also visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CoreTV Live Space The News. Chief of Air Staff Air Vice Marshal Sadiq Abubakar has assured Nigerians that the challenges confronting the Nigerian Air Force is surmountable. He explained during a visit to Kaduna that the Air Force was re-strategizing for the task of fighting insurgency in the northeast region of the country. The Air Chief is convinced that the Buhari administration would help restore the pride of the Air Force.
Organization, the multi-agency cooperative organization that we have, they are contributors to Operation Yaki, and they have been part and parcel of all the security operations, as well as a big contributor in our weekly Security Council meetings. The leadership of the Nigeria Air Force here in Kaduna has been very, very supportive to the state government. And the Aeromedical Center, for instance, is perhaps the best medical facility we have in Kaduna that our citizens use as a last resort whenever they need. If all our armed services are doing the kind of work that I have seen in the Nigeria Air Force Base here in Kaduna, the whole country will be the beneficiary and the better for it.
I think we have identified that we need to re-strategize, and we are mobilizing every resources at our disposal to ensure that the territory of Nigeria is protected and the Nigerian people are. You cannot have everything you require. No country has everything it requires. But what I can tell you is that we are putting together, our reports as to the state of our equipment, and I believe by the time we finish this tour, we'll have a clearer picture. But whatever is on ground, we are going to use it effectively and efficiently. My officers and men are doing very well. They are operating under very, very, very difficult, sometimes very difficult situation. But I can tell you that everybody is doing everything that is humanly possible to ensure that we are effective and we are able to discharge our constitutional responsibilities.
The Federal Capital Territory Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Zuba has affirmed the victory of Senator Philip Adude and Stephanie Gisalo in the March 28 Senatorial and House of Representatives election. In separate judgments, the three-man panel led by Justice Alvis Gana held that the petition filed by the candidates of the All Progressives Congress lacked merit. APC candidates Sidi Ali and Issa Bawari in the Senatorial and House of Representatives elections challenged the victory at the tribunal, but Justice Gana dismissed the petition on the grounds that the witnesses called by the petitioners failed to prove the allegation of ballot box stuffing and electoral irregularities. The incumbent lawmakers say they had no doubt they would get a favorable ruling.
The people of the Federal Capital Territory for giving us the mandate to represent them and to serve them. And that this is another affirmation of the fact that we won this election, and that by the grace of God Almighty, we'll continue to do the best that we can, leaving the rest to God and working for the progress and unity of the Federal Capital Territory.
To God be the glory. This decision today from the tribunal, we dedicate it to God
dedicate it to my own constituency, Abuja Municipal and Bari Federal Constituency, who agreed to vote for me from the election. And today, court or tribunal have finally declared me again as the winner of this election. To me, I will do my best, as usual, to do those things that concern the people of Amak and Bari Federal Constituency.
Ahead of the November 21 Kogi State gubernatorial election, more than 8 aspirants, including a woman, have formally signified their intention to pick the ticket of the All Progressives Congress. The aspirants turned up at the party's secretariat to collect nomination forms and used the opportunity to decry what they say is a clueless administration in the state. They're convinced the APC would form the next government in Kogi State.
2 months, I did miracle in Kogi State. Within that month, I touched all the sectors of our life. I established a college of education technical, which was a higher school, which till today is being credited to me as one of the most spectacular things I achieved. We want to stop putting round peg in square holes. When you ask a carpenter to climb the pole and join wire of electricity, if it's electrocuted, you should not complain. It's the person who sent him there.
From their family to other people. We want to put a stop to this. And I want to have a covenant with my people in Kogi State. If you come to my village, I have an uncompleted building. If you want it to remain like that, it will remain uncompleted throughout my tenure. I have a house that is leaking. I will re-roof it so that it will not leak when you come to visit me. But outside of that, I promise you that I'm going to run a government that you can all be proud of. That is why I've collected this form today.
The issue is that it's a collective effort that we should put our heads together and move Kogi State forward. So I have a lot of plans. Look at the state, no job, no salary, a lot of things we are lacking. I was a member of Confab delegates. I was lucky to be in the transport committee. Look at Ajaokuta. If you look at it, it's just 2% to make that Ajaokuta to be in a perfect way.
While on a visit to the Lagos home of the APC national leader, speaking on behalf of U.S. President Barack Obama, members of the U.S. Congress have urged the APC-led government and the President Muhammadu Buhari to accommodate in his cabinet people with this kind of vision for zero tolerance for corruption, also charging that the party should dwell on the change promise it offered Nigeria during the electioneering process. On his part, Bola Tinubu appreciated the concern and support for his party and further affirmed the party's destined to change the security strength of the country. And Fight in the book, Menes.
My concern is that. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. Your story and everything you said, I just took it in. I'm going to take it back to the United States, and this is my friend here who helped me get here. And I know I'm not even well. I shouldn't even be here. But this is something that I'm razor sharp on. I'm a school principal by trade. So little children what children need is hope. And that's what this country should be about. You have so many kids here, more than you have adults. So I think you should be preparing for them and what's going to happen.
We are determined, that is true. I've been to Saudi Arabia. We have a lot of con men pretending to be in contact with Boko Haram, extorting money. That is where Buhari spare lives. I don't want to crucify too much the last administration. They won. They used the girls as pawn for the good pawns. It backfired. They thought they were going to put a terrible face on Islam. yes, fundamentalists, extremist situation in the country. They didn't pay attention.
Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom has charged his colleagues to tour the path of discipline in order to overcome the ongoing financial crunch in their state. Ortom, who made the call at the presidential video, said there was urgent need to block leakages in the state, arguing that the system has enabled the state to pay off its backlog of salaries to workers. He told State House correspondents that he's reviewing the status of the internally generated revenue with a view to boosting it. We'll bring you details of our report in the subsequent bulletins. When it came as a rude shock when Simeon Lalong, governor of Plateau State, announced that he had dissolved the elected local government council's officials in the state, a decision the opposers initial stance on the matter. In this special report, the Plateau State correspondent examines the key players and the role they have played in the Plateau LG dissolution saga.
I tell you that part of the reason for our dissolution was one. Immediately we came in, we received a very, very serious report here, especially on financial incorporation. That is being handled by.
The announcement of the governor was greeted with widespread protest across the state in opposition to the local government dissolution. Several council secretariats were barricaded to prevent elected officials from gaining entry, a situation which further threatened the fragile peace in the state.
As you can see, the gates of the council are barricaded, and you can see the presence of security personnel on ground effectively.
When the security forces prevented the councillors from gaining access to the secretariat offices, they took the struggle to the State House of Assembly, where the Speaker seemingly denied them audience.
Speaker, as far as we are concerned, they are conniving the government to see that a high level of impunity continues in the plateau, and that, as lawmakers, we don't want to take it. And we will swear to the last drop of our blood not to take that thing at all.
It's not true that somebody wants to see me and I don't want to see him. This is a public office.
As if the tension in the state was not enough, the governor went ahead to appoint caretaker committee to oversee the activities of the local government councils in the state.
Your selection as management committee chairman and that of your other members is a product of broad spectrum consultation, so that you are conscious of the expectation of the people and morally under the burden of conscience to deliver on the expectation of the citizen. We are on a rescue mission.
Let me make this very clear, that this issue is not about the council chairman. It's about the rule of law. It's about good governance. It's about respecting the mandate and wishes of the people of Plateau State. It's not about the council chairman.
Buhari will have the audacity to come and dissolve Plateau State Executive Council. Then Lalong is right in doing what he has done. What is he doing? He has dissolved the local government, elected council members.
Now the stage is set for new local government administrations in Plateau State. Will the sacked chairman lie low and let bygone be bygone, or will they rather fight to recover their seats? Only time can tell.
The INEC office at Boko headquarters of Obinwa Local Government Council of Abia State has been razed down by fire. Eyewitnesses accounts has said that the building was set ablaze by yet to be identified arsonist. Correspondent Ajibadi Awofesa was at the scene and filed on this report.
The fire incident occurred barely a few hours after the election tribunal called for the result sheets and the entire materials used in the governorship elections in the state for verification. The state governor, Okezie Ikpeazu, according to the chief press secretary, has visited the scene and condemned the action as an act against the state.
We were all surprised and shocked, when we heard about the incident. The governor was very, very shocked, even when he visited the scene of the fire, and the governor condemned it in totality, because we have borne all manners of violence here. Abia has been a peaceful place, has been a peaceful state, right from the former regime to this moment. So we are shocked that at this point in time, some arsonists would want to wreak havoc in Abia State, to give the impression that this place It's not safe.
He, however, called on the police and other law enforcement agencies in the states to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book.
But so far, the police are taking over the investigation of that incident, and they will just have to wait to get the official police report. It's only the police that can determine the cause of the fire. It's only the police that can come out to say, this is exactly what happened. All other statements that people have been making, to me, is not consequential. What we can depend on, what we can quote, must be the authoritative voice of the police, who have the mandate to investigate crime.
The governor also called for an increase in security provided at all offices of the National Independent Electoral Commission to be scaled up to prevent a reoccurrence. Ajibade Awofeso, CoreTV News, Umahia.
The Kaduna State government has clarified that it is embarking on a process of recovering government land, not a demolition exercise. This insists is contrary to insinuations by the opposition that the El Rufai administration will be demolishing houses built on the premises of public institutions. Special Assistant to the Governor of Media and Publicity, Samuel Aruwe, told a select group of journalists in Kaduna that the exercise would commence on Wednesday. He added that the move has no political or religious undertone.
Into public schools and public hospitals. We want to put the issue in a better perspective, in the correct order for people to understand what exactly it is. What we are going to do has nothing to do with, say, demolition. No. What we are doing is recovery of public lands. This is essentially what we are doing. I wish to clarify that the recovery of land in Kaduna State has nothing to do with political persecution. It has nothing to do with witch hunting anybody. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has nothing to do with color, height, or size of an individual. All that we are trying to do is to ensure that lands belonging to the people of Kaduna State are restored back to the owners. You will quite agree with me that those that made plan for the development of Kaduna State did that with a vision. We want to ensure that our public institutions have their land back to them. In the next 10, 20, or 30 years, let there be more land for further plan and for citizens to access.
Inspector General of Police Solomon Arasi has ordered police operatives to use reasonable force to secure their facilities from attacks. He also warned members of the public against attacking police formations in any part of the country. This warning follows a spate of attacks and fraud attempts at some police stations. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in a statement in Abuja that Inspector General has since directed all field commanders to secure their stations and formations. The police authorities advised members of the public to explore available and appropriate channels to ventilate their grievances. The Kwara State Commissioner of Police, Saliu Gabra, is retired from the force, having spent the mandatory 30 years in service. The pull-out ceremony is the first to be organized for any retired commissioner of police in the state, and coincidentally, the retired commissioner started and ended his career in Kwara State. The details.
Since the Kwara State Police Command was established, this is the first time a pull-out parade and send-forth will be held for a retired commissioner of police in the state. The retired police chief Salihu Garba started his career for the headquarters of our local government of Kwara State 35 years ago as a sub-inspector and now ends his career as a commissioner of police. The Kwara Police Command put a good display of their capability and emotion for the man who they referred to as father. The state chairman of Police Community Relations Committee noted that crimes was reduced to the barest minimum during his nearly 1.5-year tenure in the state.
since he has been here, or since he came to Kwara, we have less criminal cases, and then he was able to cope all these, the act of all these unscrupulous elements in the site. He's a good man.
The state commandant of the State Security and Civil Defense Corps also enumerated the performance of the outgoing Commissioner of Police.
On his coming, he presented himself as a father to all agencies of security, and he used that to galvanize all the services. For the first time, we started having regular interagency security meetings.
The celebrant thanked the people of the state and the police force for giving him the opportunity to serve the country and express his readiness to serve in the future in whatever capacity.
You feel somehow departing them on a day, but all the same, I feel very happy, I feel fulfilled. I am gratitude to the God Almighty that made all things to happen the way they are happening now. Particularly with the present trend, this challenge we are having, we are fighting the unknown. So part of the challenges is an expectation from the government is equipment. Then from members of the public, information as usual. Yes, and from members of the force and the security agencies is dedication.
While the people of Kwara eagerly await the new State Commissioner of Police, it is hoped that he continues in the good stead of the outgone police boss. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Abia State government has condemned what is described as the recklessness displayed by operatives of the National Drug Law and Enforcement Agency in its bid to apprehend drug peddlers at the popular Ariara market in Aba. Chief Press Secretary to the State Governor, Gadwin Adindo, says the State Governor is displeased at the level of brigandage and violence that occurred during the operation to arrest the peddlers.
Immediately that situation was arrested. If not for the intervention of government, maybe it would have escalated beyond what we witness now. But because of the intervention, the immediate intervention of government, that situation, we were able to control it. And that is why peace was immediately restored in that place. It's quite unfortunate. The governor has even gone to visit the victims. A lot of people got wounded in the process. So this weekend, the governor moved around the hospitals and visited the victims of this.
The police are currently on guard at the Divisional Police Office in the market due to what the police described as intelligence report that a mob will burn down the station. Legacy government has reaffirmed its commitment to ridding the state of the menace of robbery attacks and traffic gridlocks. Briefing State House correspondent after the State Security Council meeting, Commissioner of Police Fatai Owosheni said Lagos is ready to double up efforts to arrest the rising trend of robbery incidents and illegal street trading. Owosheni maintained that the government will first congest traffic bottlenecks across the state and then see to getting street traders and hawkers off the road for good. The police chief also disclosed that close to 600 persons were arrested during a raid carried out in some black spots across Lagos to underscore the readiness of the state government to prosecute commercial motorcyclists that flout traffic laws. This is still CoreTV Primetime News. We'll be back after this time out to business, sports and stories from outside Nigeria. Please stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
The Department of Petroleum Resources has hinged its decision to close down 22 petrol filling stations in Abuja and its immediate environs to unwholesome business practices from which the marketers gained excessive profits. DPR's head of public relations in Abuja, Mohammed Saidu, explained in a statement that the 22 filling stations that were closed down by the agency were found guilty of selling their products above the government's regulated price and also for under-dispensing of products to suspecting customers. Saidu noted that others found guilty of product diversion were equally affected by the crackdown, which was carried out last week. According to him, 19 of the petrol stations were sealed for selling above the regulated price of 87 naira per litre, 2 for diversion of petroleum products away from their destinations, while the remaining 1 was found guilty of grossly under-dispensing and selling products massively in jerry cans. Explaining the nature of regulatory sentences against the affected stations, Saidu stated that the stations are to remain sealed for at least 1 month, in addition to forfeiting their bridging claims as directed by the federal government. Bridging claims, which are usually paid by the Petroleum Equalizing Fund to petroleum marketers, usually run into millions of naira. The list of filling stations that were closed down by DPR showed that some top players in the market like O&O and Connoy were affected. The filling stations sealed for selling petrol above 7 naira per litre to include Kasalma Nigeria Limited and Zube, Aeons Nigeria Limited on Kaduna Road, Niger State, Jibeco Nigeria Limited and Ahiz Nigeria Limited, also on Kaduna Road, Niger State. The Nigerian Copyright Commission has confiscated pirated works valued at over 4 million naira during a raid in stores selling videos of musical works in Ilorin. The head Ilorin liaison office of the commission, Justina Kunwumi, made this known on Tuesday while briefing newsmen on the activities of the commission in the state. Akumi said the commission arrested 5 persons involved in the piracy activities during the raid. Akumi, who also described the activities of pirates in the country as alarming, declared that NCC would spare no efforts to bring the activities to the barest minimum. The NCC head said the 5 suspects were arrested for illegal production and circulation of pirated optical disc at various locations in Ilorin. She therefore warned all those engaged in the criminal activities of selling both foreign and local pirated video and musical works to desist from it or face the wrath of the law. Akimi appealed to the people not to patronize or buy pirated works, but should insist on genuine products, particularly video and musical works. And outside Nigeria, a spokesman has confirmed the victory of pro-government forces in Yemen, having retaken the country's largest airbase in a battle with Houthi rebels. Heavy casualties have been reported at Al Anad airbase, north of Aden, after intense fighting there in recent days. It comes after pro-government forces, backed by airstrikes from Saudi-led coalition, retook Aden in July. The Saudis are leading a campaign to push the rebels back and restore the government, which is sheltering troops and armored vehicles from the United Arab Emirates. A key member of the coalition also said to have arrived in recent days. Military officials quoted by the Associated Press news agency said the foreign troops are helping the pro-government forces operate sophisticated weapons, including tanks. Local journalists told us that the Emirate troops recently disembarked in Aden and have been deployed as advisors rather than in combat. The New York Times said the troops had been involved in fighting at Al Anad. The reported deployment of Lyric tanks and other armored vehicles from the United Arab Emirates, which have been seen unloading in the southern port of Aden over recent days, represent the first major ground involvement by the Arab coalition launched against the Houthi rebels. Pakistan has executed Shafat Hussain, convicted of killing a child in 2004, despite appeals from international human rights groups. His lawyers say he was 14 when found guilty and his confession was extracted by torture. But officials say there is no proof he was a minor when convicted. He met his family one last time when midnight, then was hung shortly before dawn at a jail in Karachi. Legal challenges saw his execution postponed 4 times this year. But despite the postponements, legal challenges and intense lobbying, all his appeals for mercy were ultimately turned down. The Pakistani government scrapped a moratorium on capital punishments in the aftermath of an attack on a school in Peshawar in December last year, in which more than 150 school pupils and teachers were killed by the Taliban. Reports has it that Pakistan is a country where most people support capital punishment. It is often justified as an essential part of the Islamic principle of an eye for an eye. Since then, authorities have hanged at least 193 convicts in jails across the country. Pakistan has the world's largest number of death row inmates, with more than 1,000 people reported to be awaiting execution, and it is on course to have one of the highest rates of executions in the world. But Pakistan's government believes his own was 23 when found guilty, and court dismissed petitions seeking verification of his age. Evacuation orders have been given to 15,000 people in California as firefighters struggle to contain some 20 wildfires. Some 9,000 firefighters worked throughout Monday in steep terrain and rugged conditions, officials confirmed. The biggest blaze, the so-called Rocky Fire north of San Francisco, has already consumed more than 90 square miles of land on Monday afternoon. The fire jumped a highway that had been containing it. Firefighters were still trying to contain the Rocky Fire into Monday evening. At least 24 homes were destroyed as the blaze was whipped up by winds that filled the flames. Our correspondent says 4 years of drought in the western U.S. have left the landscape thin to dry, coupled with unseasonable humid conditions, lightning strikes and gusty winds. This has posed a severe challenge for firefighters and water-dropping aircraft. While some progress has been reported in tackling the blazes, partially due to a slight fall in temperatures, there is no rain forecast. Other parts of the western U.S. are also seeing wildfires. More than 300 people were moved from the point of fire in Washington state, while another burned over 15,000 acres in Oregon. On sports tonight. The Super Eagles coach is expected to return to the country to begin plans for next month's AFCON qualifier against Tanzania. Nigeria coach Sunday Lisa will return to the country next week in preparation for September's 2017 African Cup of Nations qualifying match against Tanzania in Dar es Salaam. Olise, alongside his assistant Jean-Francois Lesistu, has meetings with the quartet of John Obi Mikel, Victor Moses, Brown Idaya and Victor Anishebe in London as he kick-started his reign as coach of the Super Eagles. Olise also stated that the clash against Tanzania is very crucial as he targets a win in his first game in Dar es Salaam on September 5. As well as assessing the danger that both teams could pose in the 2018 World Cup qualifiers, the former ex-international has called for adequate preparations for the Super Eagles. Former Nigerian international Mutiu Adepoju says the Super Eagles should be on alert to stop either Swaziland or Djibouti wreaking havoc when the 2018 FIFA World Cup qualifiers begin. The 2013 African champions get an easy draw in the second round of the race to Russia, but the former midfielder feels Nigeria should be aware of the strength of their rivals heading into qualifier, while also calling for early preparation. Transfer spending in the Premier League has reached 500 million this summer, 335 million short of last summer's total, but 4 weeks until the transfer deadline. Raheem Sterling's move to Manchester City for an initial fee of 44 million has been the highest so far. Manchester United boss Liz Wenger has hinted at the surprise signing despite spending 83 million already. The transfer window shuts at 18 BST on Tuesday, 1st of September. Defending champions Chelsea's season could be in trouble. Striker Diego Costa is unavailable for long. Former Tottenham Hotspur manager Harry Redknapp have confirmed. Spain striker Costa, who injured his hamstring during the pre-season and missed Chelsea's Community Shield loss to Arsenal, is a doubt for Saturday's Premier League opener against Swansea City. If Costa is injured a lot and is going to be missing, that's the scary part. Can they get away without him? Redknapp quits his Queen Park Rangers manager in February, said on his official tweet handle on Tuesday. The 68-year-old Redknapp resigned from QPR in February with the club's second botany of the Premier League. They were relegated at the end of the season. Well, that's a wrap on CoreTV Primetime News tonight, but before we go, a quick reminder of a major story. President Muhammadu Buhari names news helmsman for the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and the National Communications Commission. We also brought you a report that the senators confirmed the appointments of service chiefs. And finally, that the FCT Election Petition Tribunal has upheld the elections of Philip Sadude and Safana Jusale. Many thanks for watching. Do have a wonderful night. Trust time, Elijah Makil. Good night.